Hi, this is Taya. I'm a dog mom, canine instructor, and a dog trainer who specializes in rehabilitation and adaptation of fearful, reactive, and aggressive dogs. And this will be my first video on my English-speaking YouTube channel. And this is the most important video that ever existed for me, probably. And if you ever gonna take anything from this channel, just let it be this video, please. Also, if you're new on this channel, please consider subscribing and giving this thumbs up, just so you can improve your relationships with your dog and probably get to know something new. Let's get started. So, often I hear a lot about pack theory, alpha theory, why it is so important to dominate over your dog, and there is no other way to teach your dog something unless you dominate over them. And there are three specific reasons I'm making this video about this great, like the biggest myth that exists in dog training community. So first reason is I really enjoy watching OBGYN reacts to, or like other professionals react to. And I really wanted to make such section in my YouTube channel. And before I want to react to Dog Whisper or whatever the bullshit you want me to react to, I want to make this video so I can reference it going further. And I don't need to basically interrupt every video to say, hey, alpha theory is bullshit and here's why. And I can just make this one right here and just let it be. The second reason is due to the specifications of what I'm doing. There are a lot of people who have been to other dog trainers and then they get cycled in the system and then the system throws them out on me. And what I often hear is that people say, I didn't want to pinch my dog, but that's what the dog trainer told me to do. I didn't want to hit my dog, but that's what the dog trainer, he's a professional, he told me. I'm not keen on yanking my dog with a leash, but again, a professional told me to do so. And rehabilitating those dogs is so much harder than if you came to me with pre-existing problem that hasn't been solved in such manner, because then you need to regain trust that was already busted, that was there, but it was busted by other professionals. And the third reason for this video is basically the language in which I learn is English. I speak Ukrainian, Russian, and I have dog channels on those languages, but the main language which I consume information, in which I consume information is English. And the fact that there are so many views and viral videos about me dominating over my husky, me staring my dog down, me pinching my dog to dominate over it in English resources terrifies me. That means that soon they will be translated into other resources. And the fact that those videos are getting millions and millions of views, and videos that debunk this myth of alpha theory dog training are getting like thousands of views, not even like hundreds of thousands of views, extremely terrifies me, So let's take a look why it is a myth, how was it formed, and why you shouldn't believe in it, and you will have a scientific argumentation to do so. The wolf theory, basically the pack theory, the alpha theory, whatever, comes from wolves. Before we get started, you need to understand that this theory comes from wolf packs. And prior to me explaining why the researchers came to wrong conclusions, I want to explain first how does a pack function right now. So you have breeders, aka parents, and you have offsprings. There are no alpha, beta, gamma, whatever, omega bullshit. They are just, it's as simple as that. They all are related and they are parents and offspring, siblings, whatever. So they don't have any dominance there. They have hierarchy. They have mom, dad, they have children. The same hierarchy you have in your family if your parents were decent enough people, right? So they go hunting together, they teach each other, they cooperate and work together. that's the pack as the science sees it now. I might be oversimplifying some things, but it's easier for me to explain it this way. So, where it all went wrong. Scientists in 40s and 50s and 30s, there were two main scientists I'm going to talk about, and the first scientist who worked through 40s and 50s was Schenkel, and basically he created this idea of alpha, beta and omega wolves, and he came up to right conclusions, but the inputs that he had, they were extremely wrong. So basically, wolves, they live in families, right? As I mentioned before. The wolves he was looking after, they were basically living in a captivity. Those were all single wolves separated from their packs and put together with limited resources. You see how wrong this is going, right? You already see a lot of mistakes here, right? So, those wolves who were used to their family rules were nitpicked, captured, and brought into the zoo or whatever the environment was, and they're like, yeah, you figure yourself out. And when their social norms were basically ruined, they're like, yeah, we kind of screw it. We need to fight for resources. And that's what they started doing. So this is, right, we already off to a great start. The beginning of the theory is freaking wrong. Then there was this guy, this great scientist named Mitch. That's his family name. And again, I'm gonna link all the resources down below, so we'll get into that later. So there was the scientist, Mitch, and he was like, yeah, this Schenkel guy kind of makes sense. And then after he was doing more and more research, not on captive wolves, but on like wild wolves and on wolves in national parks and stuff like that, he was like, nah, that doesn't make a lot of sense. We're kind of screwed. But before he could say that, he published a book about alpha, beta, and omega wolves, which right now is debunked. He himself states that that's a horrible information. It's an outdated information. You shouldn't trust it. And when the freaking author of the theory states that you shouldn't trust his scientific findings, maybe you should trust him, because that's the way he earns money. Like, if he's willing to cut his funding from that, just please trust the damn dude, right? So he was like, I'm debunking this theory, it's not right, it's outdated. Some facts from that are slightly true, but it's like the picture at which we're looking is completely wrong. So yeah, that's my first point. The whole theory was wrong because the input was wrong. And this is not how the wolves live, as I mentioned before. This is not how the wolves live right now. Second thing that I love people mention, well, dogs are like wolves. Well, yeah, Karen, they are. Like they were 40,000 years ago, they are not right now. They went through artificial selection, and people were basically choosing the phenotypes and the characters and the characteristics that they wanted to basically hold on to. So you have friendly dogs, you have dogs that pay attention to you, you have dogs that help you hunt, and you see there's no similarities between dogs and wolves, right? Because a lot of years have passed by. My second point is that dogs are not wolves. And even for wolves, the wolf freaking theory is wrong, and now you're trying to implement that on dogs? No, you got it all wrong. So dogs are not wolves. There is no equal sign between them. Between 11,000 and 40,000 years ago, they had a common ancestor from which wolves and dogs came, but dogs were artificially selected. They were artificially selected to be friendly. They're artificially selected to pay attention to you. They're artificially selected to help you hunt. And those selections, they work kind of the same way as evolution. You're picking the trait that you want and you're keeping it. That's why dogs are, even though they are very closely genetically related to wolves, they are not wolves. They are raised by humans, and they're extremely large pool of information that you can check yourself. The dogs can empathize with yourselves. Like they have empathy for people. They can pay attention to your mimic. They can see when you're smiling and what does that mean. That's artificial selection right there. So the third thing is dogs are not stupid. They can, before we start there are two types of dominance. The vertical dominance and the horizontal dominance. So horizontal dominance is when the dog dominates over another dog. Vertical dominance is also called interspecies dominance. I believe that's the proper name. If not, I'll just put it somewhere here. Interspecies dominance, let's call it that. Which such thing does not exist. You as a human cannot dominate over a dog. The dog understands that you are a different species and you're not the same kind. So when you're behaving as a dog, that terrifies dog, to be fair. And to make my point further, such thing as pack theory really deteriorated relationships with humans and dogs, like between humans and dogs. Because when the dog is reactive and you're yanking it or pinching it in order for it to behave properly, the dog loses trust in you, and the only thing that the dog learns is you are one unpredictable motherfucker. Like, for real, you are very unpredictable for the dog, and this terrifies the dog. The dog becomes flooded, the dog doesn't know what to do, the dog is terrified in the circumstances it is in, and now you are making the dog even more terrified. And that's just basically destroying all the welfare that the dogs had. And yeah, just don't do that, please. If you're taking anything from this channel, please, I beg you, let it be this video, because this video is the most important thing I can share with you. In addition to what I said, please, there are a lot of people who, like, I was about to say, please don't believe everyone who has a platform and says something, but I have a platform and I'm saying something. But please, check the information that the person is providing, not only their explanation and interpretation of the information they're giving to you. So everything that I mentioned before, all the resources will be down, and you can go check them yourself, so you can read through the references that I'm leaving, and you can basically make your own decision. What I'm giving you are extracts from those research, and you can basically either trust me on what I'm about to say, or go and make your own research and then come back to this video and write, hey Taya, you're bullshitting me, you were not right, or hey, you're so right. So yeah. Also, if you have in mind any people that you want to see me react to, please write them down in the comment section. And again, please don't believe people if they are saying something with this smug look on their face and like, yeah, dominate over your dog, just because they say it confidently and they have a platform. Just look what is behind their words. And with that, I'm leaving you some food for thought.
I'm the alpha that you feel that you have to compete with a dog in your household over some imaginary rank. What does that say for how you live with people?